Okay, so you just bought a guitar. But now what? How do you even play this thing? Well, there are 3 things you need to know to start off your guitar journey, and in this video I'm going to explain all of them. When you're learning to play chords on the guitar, you're going to come across chord diagrams like this. The dots are where your fingers go, and sometimes they'll have your fingers numbered from 1 to 4. Your pointer finger is number 1 and your pinky finger is number 4. And I think it's easiest to count the strings starting from the low E string, so we're going to count like that in this video. So here's how you play a G chord. If we look at the chord diagram, we see 3 dots up here. The first one is on that top string, which I'm going to call the first string. We're going to take our 3rd finger and place it on the 3rd fret of that first string. And then we take our 2nd finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And then the last note takes your 4th finger or your pinky finger and it puts it on the 3rd fret of the last string right here. And this is a G chord. And if playing that last note at the bottom is too hard at first, you can just practice these 2 on top and then not play the bottom string yet, until you get more comfortable with placing your pinky finger down there. And you also kind of want to place your finger right up to the fret but not on top of the fret when you're playing chords. So you want to slide it as close as you can to this fret here without actually being on top of it. Next up is the C chord. The C chord shouldn't be too hard for you to play because the G chord has sort of the same shape on top. So you're going to want to find the 2nd string on the guitar and place your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of that string. And then you take your 2nd finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string right here. And this is where it has the same pattern as the G chord. And then you want to take the pointer finger or the 1st finger and put it on the 1st fret of the 5th string, which is the 2nd one from the bottom. So now you can play a C chord. And for a D chord, you're going to see an X on the top of these first 2 strings. That just means that we're not going to play those 2 strings and we're going to start by playing the 3rd string. So this 3rd string is an open string. We still play it, but we don't push down on any notes up here. And on the 4th string, you want to take your 1st finger or your pointer finger and put it on the 2nd fret right here. And then you're going to take your 3rd finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. And finally, you take your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of this last string. Just remember to skip the first 2 strings on this chord and start strumming from the 3rd string. And that's how you play a D chord. So next up is strumming the strings. You can either strum with a pick or with your fingers. If you do it with a pick though, you're not going to get your fingers used to strumming the strings. And you're going to need those calluses on your fingers so they're tough enough to strum the strings in the future. So when you're strumming, you want to twist your wrist. There is some arm movement in there, but it's mostly just the wrist. And your wrist should be relaxed. It should feel like you're lightly shaking your wrist. Strumming patterns are just different types of rhythms, so I'm just going to show you how to play a chord in rhythm. So when you're strumming, you've got downstrokes and upstrokes. So you're just going to go up and down in a continuous rhythm. So most of the time when you're playing simple songs with different strumming patterns, you don't actually have to change the way that you strum. You actually just change when you choose to hit the strings and when you don't. So for example, I could play the 3 chords you just learned by playing both on the upstrokes and on the downstrokes like this. I'm just playing every single time I go down and back up again. But I can also just skip the upstrokes and only play the downstrokes. I'm just skipping every single time I go up. And then you can also only play the upstrokes. And back to both. And if you want to mix up a rhythm, all you have to do is pick and choose when you want to play. So you can practice those few chords that you learned with different strumming patterns, trying to change up the rhythm on whatever you're playing. Playing around with these strumming patterns will really help you understand rhythm on the guitar. So now, using everything that you've learned, you're going to try and learn a 3 or 4 chord song. The song that I've picked is How Great Is Our God to try and work on today. This is a 4 chord song and it has one more chord than you learned, but it's a super simple chord and it'll be beneficial to try and learn it. The song How Great Is Our God is super simple on the guitar, so I'm going to use that for an example. It only has 4 chords and the strumming pattern is pretty simple throughout. The one extra chord is E minor, which is super simple. It's just 2 fingers right here. So the chord progression just starts on G, goes to E minor, then to C, and then to D. And it'll be good for you to learn how to play a song. After all, that's why you want to learn the rhythm and the chords in the first place, so that you can play songs. And this one is super simple, so it's great for you to learn first. So it starts off on G, pretty simple strumming pattern. And then we go to E minor. And then next we're going to go to C. And then D. Back to G. Yeah, and that's basically the whole song. It just repeats over and over again, so I told you it was simple. I hope you learned something in this video. If there's anything you want to learn, make sure you let me know down in the comments. And until next time, God bless.